The real power of watching videos like this is simple. When you listen to dark psychology techniques again and again, they start to settle deep into your subconscious. You don't need to memorize them. You don't need to try hard. You have to listen positively. Then, you won't even realize when they begin to shape your real-life behavior, but they will. If you stay connected with me, even 1 or 2 tricks from these videos, if they click in your mind, they can change something big in your life. If you've ever watched the video, 10 Warning Signs of Gaslighting, you already know how powerful this knowledge can be. What I'm about to show you now, 30 sentences of gaslighting in dark psychology. It might shake you. Let's begin. 1. You're just too sensitive. It sounds like concern, but it's not. It's a trap. A gaslighter says this to flip the blame. You feel hurt, and they act like you're the problem. Slowly, you silence yourself, and one day, you forget what real kindness even felt like. 2. That never happened. You're imagining it. You question your memory, but they lie with confidence. They say it so calmly, you doubt yourself. That's the trick. Gaslighting isn't loud, it's smooth. It makes truth feel unstable and turns your certainty into shame. Don't ignore when your truth feels hijacked. 3. You always twist my words. They said what they said, but now you're confused. You begin to question if you misunderstood. You replay the moment in your mind. That's gaslighting. Not denying what happened, but making you rewrite your memory to match their control. Slowly, reality becomes theirs. 4. No one else has a problem with me, just you. They isolate your truth. Suddenly, you feel alone in your feelings. It's not about facts, it's about framing. Gaslighters love to make you the minority. It works because the human brain fears being the only one, so you abandon yourself to feel safe. 5. If you really loved me, you wouldn't say that. Love becomes a weapon. You feel guilty for being honest. That's not love, that's emotional blackmail. Gaslighting often hides behind love language that punishes you for having needs. If loving someone costs your voice, it's not love. It's manipulation dressed in romance. 6. You're overreacting. This phrase isn't about your reaction. It's about their control. The goal is to shrink your emotion until it disappears. You start questioning if your hurt is valid. When you begin apologizing for your pain, gaslighting has already sunk in, deeper than you know. 7. I never said that. They did. You remember it, but the denial is sharp, fast, and firm. You freeze. Was it you? Was it real? That's gaslighting's power. It doesn't just rewrite moments, it rewrites memory. Over time, it makes you scared of your own mind. 8. You're remembering it wrong. Gaslighters don't need to change the truth. They just have to make you doubt yours. Memory is fragile, and they know it. You'll hesitate before speaking next time. You'll stay silent, not out of peace, but out of fear of being wrong again. 9. Nobody would believe you anyway. They isolate you by crushing your credibility. It's not just an insult, it's a warning. Don't speak up or you'll be alone. That's how gaslighting works. It makes your truth feel dangerous, but the moment you believe that, they already win. 10. You're the reason I act this way. They break you, then blame you. Gaslighting teaches you to take responsibility for their damage, and over time, you start managing their emotions instead of your own. This is how control works, not by chains, but by guilt that feels like love. 11. You're crazy. That's not what happened. It sounds like a joke at first, but over time it seeps in. You begin to fear your own mind. This phrase isn't harmless, it's a weapon. Gaslighters don't need to be right, they just need you to think you're wrong, again and again. 12. You always make things worse. Now your concerns are the problem, not their actions, your response. Gaslighting reframes your pain as destruction. You try harder to not ruin things, but peace doesn't come, because the moment your pain is painted as the villain, your healing is no longer allowed. 13. Why can't you just let things go? They hurt you, but when you bring it up, they guilt you for remembering. Gaslighting demands short memory for your suffering and long patience for their excuses. They don't want forgiveness, they want silence. That's how they stay in control, by shortening your memory, not theirs. 14. You're too emotional to think clearly. It sounds logical, but it's actually a form of erasure. It implies that logic and feeling can't exist together. Gaslighters say this to dismiss your intuition. They don't disprove you, they simply devalue you. When your emotions become invalid, your perspective dies quietly. 15. Stop being so dramatic. They say it with a smirk, as if your hurt is entertainment. Gaslighting reframes pain as a performance. It humiliates you into silence. You shrink your expression. You smile more, cry less. But inside, the storm grows, and you learn to suffer. Quietly, obediently. 16. You're imagining things again. You sensed something, you spoke it, but now you're being told it's fiction. Gaslighting works best when your instinct is close to truth. They discredit it before it becomes clarity. If they break your faith in your gut, they don't need to hide. You'll gaslight yourself. 17. You need help. Seriously. It's said like concern, but it's not care. It's control. Gaslighters use your mental health as a weapon. They make sanity the battleground and paint you as the unstable one. This isn't advice. It's manipulation designed to isolate you from yourself and everyone else. 18. This is why no one likes you. They break your self-image in one line. Gaslighting doesn't always need proof. It just needs a wound. This sentence makes you desperate to please, to fix, to become lovable again. But the truth is, they never saw your worth. They only used your insecurity. 19. You're making a big deal out of nothing. Your reality gets minimized until it feels embarrassing to express. You replay what happened, again and again. Was it really nothing? That's the trap. Gaslighting shrinks your truth. And if you don't catch it, you start shrinking yourself to match their version of events. 20. You're just jealous. You raise a concern. They label it as envy. Gaslighters twist your valid boundaries into ugly motives. Suddenly, the focus shifts, not to their actions, but to your supposed flaws. And once you start defending yourself, the real issue quietly disappears into their narrative. 21. That's just how you are. They frame your reactions as your flaws. Gaslighting locks you in a personality you didn't choose. Now, every disagreement becomes proof that you're the problem. This sentence forces you to accept blame as identity, and over time you start apologizing for just being yourself. 22. You're not easy to love, said softly, but it sinks deeply. Gaslighting doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. This sentence makes love feel conditional. You try harder to earn basic affection, but they've already decided. Your self-worth is now tied to pleasing someone who keeps moving the finish line. 23. I'm only saying this because I care. The sentence sounds kind, but cuts deep. Gaslighters disguise harm as help. They criticize your core, then wrap it in love. You lower your defenses. You believe their version of you. That's the trick. They hurt you with words you're too grateful to question. 24. You're impossible to talk to. They push your buttons, then blame you for reacting. This line is designed to disarm you mid-conversation. You stop defending yourself, you stop speaking up, and slowly, gaslighting trains you to believe your voice only makes things worse, even when you were right. 25. You're just paranoid. You sense the shift, the energy, the lie, but now you're told you're paranoid. This line makes you distrust your own instincts. Gaslighting doesn't just break trust with them, it breaks your trust in yourself. And when that's gone, they can do anything. 26. You're always in a bad mood. Instead of noticing what's hurting you, they frame your whole personality as negative. Gaslighting turns your reactions into character flaws. You stop expressing sadness, you smile through discomfort, and soon you become someone who's not even sure what normal feels like anymore. 27. It's all in your head. They say it calmly, as if truth lives only in logic. But what you felt was real. Gaslighting often targets your emotions because feelings are easier to deny. This line makes you second-guess the invisible damage, but your nervous system always remembers. 28. I didn't mean it like that. They hurt you, but twist it into misunderstanding. You feel guilty for feeling hurt. That's gaslighting's soft side, the one that looks like explanation. It avoids apology. It avoids growth. And in the end, it's still your emotions. that are treated like the problem. 29. You're always looking for something to be upset about. They ignore the cause and attack your awareness. Gaslighting makes your sensitivity look like sabotage. You begin walking on eggshells, not to keep peace, but to avoid being seen as difficult. This is how your truth slowly dies in the name of harmony. 30. You're lucky I put up with you. It's not said in anger, it's said with entitlement. This line makes you feel like a burden for existing. Gaslighting convinces you that mistreatment is a favor, and when you start feeling grateful for surviving harm, the trap is complete. The right knowledge doesn't scream change, it plants it. If this planted anything real in you, subscribe to let it grow.